Hi there. I'm pretty excited to share this recipe with you. Believe it or not, I'm making barbecue pulled pork sliders with homemade potato chips. And yes, this dinner can be part of a heart-healthy diet. Let me show you how it's done. So, there are two basic ways to season meat, poultry, and fish. One is with a wet marinade, where the meat soaks in liquid, and the other is a dry marinade, or a spice rub. We are actually using both methods today. First, I'm going to make the spice rub. I'm mixing together 1.5 teaspoons of dry thyme into the bowl, and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of chili powder, okay, I'll get some of these out of my way, and also 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Getting all those in. Now I'm going to give that a stir. But before I apply it, here's just a few tips about pork. When you are buying pork, look for loin chops, tenderloin or pork loin roast, which are the leanest cuts. Here I have a 3-pound pork loin roast, and I've removed all of the visible fat with my knife. So I'm going to stir this really quickly here. Get them all nice and mixed together. There we go. And I'm going to rub the spices all over. Here we go, until it's completely covered. Pouring this over the pork. I'll start with this side, and I'm going to get all that all over. Okay. I want it everywhere, so I'm going to make sure I have enough for all my sides as well. All sides, so I'm getting it all rubbed all around. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands now because I was handling that raw meat. And we always want to be safe and do this anytime you handle raw meat, fish, poultry, anything like that. And now I'm going to assemble the wet marinade. Okay, I need a bowl for that. Have a clean one right here. And now I'm going to whisk together the ingredients for the wet marinade. 1/2 cup of unsweetened plain applesauce, and that's right here. Let me use my spoon because I want to get everything out and into my bigger bowl. Here we go. And 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. I have that right here. And 2 teaspoons of honey. And I'm going to get that out with my spoon. Very well. And you'll see how delicious this is going to make my meat. Okay. Also 1/2 cup of low sodium chicken broth that I have right here. Into my bowl. There it goes. And 1/2 cup of water right here. Now, I'm going to use my whisk for this and just whisk it all together. I want to make sure everything mixes well before I pour into the crock pot over the meat. Okay, so let's do this. I have a small onion right here that I chopped up, and I'm going to scatter that on the bottom part of this crock pot. I'm going to move that over. I'll put that over the bottom because that's where the pork is going to sit. Okay. Now, I'm going to put my pork roast into the crock pot on top of the onions. I was handling that raw meat, and we always want to be safe and do this anytime you handle raw meat. And now, it's time to pour the wet marinade over the pork. We call this the applesauce marinade. I'm pouring that all in. There we go. And I'm going to turn the crock pot onto my low setting. There we go. And I'll put the top on now. This is going to take about 6 to 7 hours to cook. So I'm going to set this aside a little bit, because while that cooks, I'm going to make our homemade chips in the barbecue sauce. First up, we're going to do the chips, which means I need to preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. There we go. We got that going. And I'm going to show you how to make these chips. They're so good. You won't believe how good they are. Okay, you only need a few ingredients and a little bit of cooking time. So here I have 1 medium-sized Idaho baking potato. Or you can use a russet potato. That's a good choice too. I thinly slice the potato into 1/8 of an inch slices. Okay. Now, I need 2 baking sheets. I'm going to show you a trick. Let's get this out of the way. Okay. You see how I put a piece of parchment paper on the baking sheet, and I coated it with cooking spray. Let me show you. We did this. Very well. Now I'm going to put my potato chips in a single layer on the parchment. Okay. And you want them all not to overlap. Okay. Now I'm going to spray them with cooking spray again. Just a light coating, like that. Okay. And another piece of parchment paper goes on top. Okay. And we're going to follow it with another baking sheet on top of that, like this. There we go. Now they're going to go into the oven, and I'll bake those for about 20 minutes. After about 20 minutes, I'm going to take off the top baking sheet and the parchment paper, and I'm going to season them with a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Then I'm going to bake them again for about 15 minutes or so. Now, for the barbecue sauce, which, by the way, is so easy to make yourself and so much healthier than what you buy bottled at the store, I'm going to whisk together 1/4 of a cup of unsweetened plain applesauce, 2 tablespoons of sugar-free peach preserves. Use my spoon to help that out a little bit and get these out of the way. 1/4 of a teaspoon of chili powder, and 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Okay. I'm going to whisk that together. I'm going to use my fork for this. There we go. It's looking good already. Okay. I'm going to just set that aside with my other sandwich fixings, which I have here to make 12 sliders. I have 12 whole wheat buns, 12 thin slices of green apple. You could use any type of apple you like if you want to. You'll need just 1 apple and 12 thin slices of red onion right here. And again, use your favorite type of onion. You'll need about 1/2 of an onion. Okay, now my pork is done. It finished cooking and it smells so amazing in here. As you can see, I've already removed the pork from the crock pot, and I'm leaving the liquid behind. I've let it cool a bit, so now it's time to shred it. This is a great step for the kids to do with you because it doesn't have to be perfect. I just take 2 forks and I just go at it. Okay? And you just take your time. It falls apart easily. So we'll get this done. So I shredded all the pork and tossed it with the barbecue sauce that I made earlier. So now it's time to make our sliders. Just take a roll, and you'll see I only have 6 here, but the recipe calls for 12, and it serves 12. Okay, I'm going to place about 1/4 of a cup of pork on the slider. Here we go. And this smells terrific. It's going to be so good. There we go. I'm going to put it on my plate, And I'm going to place 1 slice of apple and a slice or 2 of the onion. Here we go. Doesn't that look great? And don't forget about the potato chips. A great dish to make on a game day, a weekend, or when you have a little extra time. I like to double the recipe to have leftovers for a few days afterwards. Thanks for watching and have a heart-healthy day.